Ever wonder why some people seem to, I don't know, effortlessly build wealth, while others, despite working really hard, just can't seem to get ahead?
Yeah, it's a common question.
What if it's less about external factors, luck, and more about something internal, like an invisible blueprint buried deep inside your mind?
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're pulling some fascinating, maybe counterintuitive insights from Harv Eker's Secrets of the Millionaire Mind.
Okay.
We're looking at how your subconscious mind might actually be setting your financial ceiling. And more importantly, how you can fundamentally recondition it for, lasting abundance.
Right. So we're going to unpack these surprising truths about how the rich, middle class, and poor actually think differently and act differently.
Right.
Especially about money.
And give you some practical strategies, too. Things you can actually use to rewire your own money mindset.
Okay, so let's start with this core idea then, the financial blueprint. I mean, many listeners might know about subconscious programming, but what exactly is this blueprint in Eker's view? And why is it so powerful?
He defines it as your preset program, your ingrained way of being around money. It's deep in your subconscious.
Okay.
And his point is, if this blueprint isn't set for success, then honestly, it doesn't matter what financial books you read or actions you take. It won't fundamentally change your financial destiny. And he really stresses that this blueprint is largely shaped by our earliest influences, childhood stuff.
Yeah, and Eker's own story is a perfect example, isn't it? He talks about having, what did he call it? Loch Ness Monster disease.
Wow, yeah.
He read all the books, went to the seminars, but like the monster, he never actually saw any profit from his businesses. So what was the big breakthrough for him? What changed?
Well, he had this pivotal moment. He realized other people were succeeding in the exact same businesses where he'd failed. And a wealthy friend gave him some really profound advice. Said, Harv, if you're not doing as well as you'd like, all that means is there's something you don't know.
Simple but powerful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that just ignited this deep study into how rich people think, their patterns. And by reconditioning his own mind, he became self-made millionaire in just 2.5 years.
Wow.
He calls this the inner game. And he argues it's just as important, maybe even more important than the outer laws, business knowledge, investment strategies, that kind of thing.
It is a powerful point, and it makes me think of that example Eker uses about Donald Trump, how he lost billions but then got it all back and more.
Right.
It wasn't just luck or business skill, Eker argues. It's because Trump never lost his billionaire mind. But, okay, for someone without billions, is there a practical first step? How do you cultivate that mindset when you face smaller everyday setbacks?
Absolutely. The deeper insight here, I think, is that your financial reality is really just a printout of your internal world, your thoughts, your emotions, your spirit even.
A printout.
Okay.
Money,
wealth, health, even things like illness or weight.
Yeah.
Eker sees them all as results, cause and effect. So a lack of money. That's never the real problem. It's just a symptom of what's going on underneath. He has this great wealth principle. If you want to change the fruits, you will first have to change the roots.
Change the roots.
If you want to change the visible, you must first change the invisible. Makes sense, right?
It does. So if my bank account is just a printout of this blueprint and money's just a result, what's the hardest part about getting to those roots? Where do people usually get stuck trying to fix things?
I think the trickiest bit is really grasping that your financial blueprint acts like a thermostat.
A thermostat? How so?
Well, if it's set for, let's say, $50,000 a year, that's what you'll eventually gravitate back to, even if you get a bonus or have a temporary setback.
Okay.
But the real power isn't just knowing the setting. It's realizing it's often your emotional comfort zone, not just ambition. Anything significantly more feels, too hot.
Ah, right. Uncomfortable.
Exactly. And your subconscious kind of works to bring you back down to what feels familiar, what feels safe. As Eker puts it, the only way to permanently change the temperature in the room is to reset the thermostat.
So you need to reset the financial thermostat permanently.
Precisely. That's the only way to change your level of financial success for good.
It makes so much sense that our blueprint is conditioned from childhood. So, okay, once you realize you have this thermostat, how do you actually, uncondition it? How do you install new, supportive wealth files in your mind?
Eker explains our thoughts, our conditioning. It comes from 3 main places. Verbal programming.
What we heard.
Yeah, what we heard growing up. Then modeling.
What we saw.
Exactly. And specific incidents. Things that happened that had a big emotional impact around money.
Okay.
Like He gives this example of a student, Stephen. His mother always said, rich people are greedy. So in Stephen's mind, rich got linked with greedy, which meant bad.
Oh, wow.
Subconsciously, he couldn't let himself become rich because deep down, he didn't want to be a bad person.
It's just remarkable how the subconscious really prioritizes emotions over logic, isn't it? I mean, Stephen logically wanted to be rich.
Of course.
But those deeply rooted emotions just kept him broke. Can you expand on why that emotional root is so powerful, even when we logically want something else?
Absolutely. There's another wealth principle here. When the subconscious mind must choose between deeply rooted emotions and logic, emotions will almost always win.
Almost always win.
Yeah. And if your motivation for wanting money comes from a place that isn't supportive, like fear or anger or maybe needing to prove yourself, it just won't bring a lasting happiness. Like seeking security, for instance. That often comes from a deep fear of insecurity. It's rooted in fear, not abundance.
Eker even shares that really insightful story about him and his wife, doesn't he? How they fought about money.
Well, yeah, that's a great one.
Because for her, money meant immediate pleasure, like getting an ice cream cone as a kid.
Right. Instant gratification.
Well, for him, it meant freedom, and those different, deeply embedded meanings almost broke them up.
It really highlights how deep these things run and how unconscious they often are.
I bet a lot of listeners might be having little aha moments about their own money dynamics right now. So once you have that awareness, what's the path forward?
This leads to Eker's 4-part process for changing your blueprint. It's quite practical.
Okay, what are the steps?
First, awareness. That's always the first step to any change, right? Just noticing your current thoughts and patterns. No judgment, just notice.
Got it. Awareness.
Second, understanding. Figuring out why you think the way you do. Often tracing it back to that conditioning, the verbal stuff, the modeling, the incidents. But it's not about blaming anyone. It's about clarity.
Understanding the roots. Okay.
Third, disassociation. This is key. Realizing these thoughts are not you. They're just old files.
Yeah.
Information stored a long time ago. And you can now choose whether to keep them or let them go. You observe them, you don't identify with them.
Right. Separate yourself from the thought.
Exactly. And fourth, reconditioning. This is the active part. You replace the non-supportive thinking with new, empowering wealth files and new behaviors. Eker strongly suggests using declarations.
Declarations, like affirmations?
Similar, but maybe more powerful. He sees them as stating an official intention out loud, consciously choosing.
Okay.
So for verbal programming, you might declare, what I heard about money isn't necessarily true. I choose to adopt new ways of thinking that support my happiness and success.
I like that. I choose.
Yeah. Or for emotional incidents, I release my non-supportive money experiences from the past and create a new and rich future. You're actively rewriting the script.
Okay, so now we understand the reconditioning process. Let's get into some of those powerful wealth files themselves, these mindsets, these habits that really separate the rich. First off, how do rich people fundamentally approach the whole money game?
This is a core distinction for Eker. He says, rich people play the money game to win. Poor people play the money game to not lose.
Win versus not lose. What does that look like?
Well, poor people are often focused on survival, security. They're playing defense, essentially. Their goal might just be, enough to pay the bills.
Right. Just getting by.
The middle class, he says, aims to be comfortable. He has this funny illustration about always ordering the cheapest chicken off the menu. Safe, predictable, comfortable.
Huh. I think we all know that feeling.
But in stark contrast, rich people aim for massive wealth and abundance. They're playing offense, big goals.
Okay, so for our listeners, what does that mean practically? How do you start shifting your intention to really play to win?
It really comes down to the power of that intention. Eker says, if you shoot for the stars, you'll at least hit the moon.
Aim high.
Exactly. If your goal is just comfort or just paying the bills, that's probably what you'll get, nothing more. So a powerful declaration he suggests is, my goal is to become a millionaire and more.
Bold.
Yeah. And to put it into action, you can write down specific play-to-win goals. What's your target annual income, your target net worth? Make them big. He even suggests intentionally going to an upscale restaurant and ordering something at market price without looking at the cost, just to prove to yourself you're playing bigger, stepping into that feeling of abundance.
That's a great practical challenge. Okay, next. Eker makes a really important distinction between just wanting to be rich and truly committing to it. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this is crucial. He outlines 3 levels of wanting. First is, I want to be rich, which is often just, a passive wish,
Yeah.
like wanting a nice car but not doing anything about it.
Okay, level 1.
Level 2 is I choose to be rich. This is better. It involves making a decision, taking responsibility.
More active.
More active, yes. But the most powerful, level 3, is I commit to being rich. And commit means, to devote oneself unreservedly, giving 100%.
All in.
All in. He calls it the warrior's way, where failure just isn't an option.
Yeah.
And the wealth principle here is crystal clear. If you are not fully, totally, and truly committed to creating wealth, chances are you won't.
That's blunt.
It is. But he adds something really interesting. The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. Unforeseen help starts showing up.
So commitment somehow unlocks unseen support. But let's be real, right? Problems always come up on any big journey. Eker says rich people handle those differently too. What's the mindset shift there?
He says rich people are bigger than their problems. Poor people are smaller than their problems.
Bigger than their problems.
Yeah. The secret to success, he argues, isn't avoiding problems. You can't. It's about growing yourself so that you become bigger than any problem you face.
Okay. It's about your size relative to the problem.
Exactly. The size of the problem itself is never the issue. It's the size of you. So if you feel overwhelmed by a big problem, he says, quite provocatively, all that means is that you're being a small person.
Ouch. But I get the point.
Yeah. He even suggests playfully yelling, mini-me, mini-me, mini-me at yourself to snap out of it. It's also about building a larger container for wealth.
Container for what?
Think of it like this. If your container, your mindset, your capacity is small, and suddenly you get a lot of money, you'll probably lose it somehow.
Yeah.
Because you can't handle it. You have to grow yourself into a big container to hold and actually attract more wealth.
That idea of growing your container, it leads me to another really crucial point. Many of us find it incredibly hard to truly receive. Maybe because of past conditioning. How does Eker tackle this?
Oh, he definitely agrees. He notes so many people feel unworthy or undeserving.
Yeah.
Often, again, it's rooted in childhood. Hearing no constantly, maybe being punished for asking for things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But he offers this really provocative and, I think, empowering perspective. He says, it doesn't matter whether you feel worthy or not. You can be rich either way.
Really? You don't have to feel worthy first?
Apparently not. He uses this brilliant quote, if a 100-foot oak tree had the mind of a human, it would only grow to be 10 feet tall.
That's good.
His point is, it's often easier to change your story about worthiness, to consciously decide to be open to receiving rather than waiting for the feeling of worthiness to magically appear, which might never happen.
Okay, change the story, not necessarily the feeling.
Exactly. And furthermore, giving and receiving, they're two sides of the same coin, both equally vital. If you aren't willing to receive, you're basically ripping off people who want to give to you.
Never thought of it that way.
And you're training the universe not to give to you. He uses the analogy of a rain puddle. Abundance, like rain, has to flow somewhere. If you're closed off, not open to receiving your share, it'll just flow to someone else who is.
Wow. Okay. I am an excellent receiver. I am open and willing to receive massive amounts of money into my life. That sounds like a really powerful declaration from the book.
It is.
So for our listeners, what are some concrete, immediate things they can do, like starting today, to practice being excellent receivers?
Eker gives 3 really good practical actions. First, whenever someone gives you a compliment, just say thank you. That's it. Don't immediately deflect or give one back. Really receive it. Own it.
Okay, simple but hard for some people.
Totally. Second, get excited about any money you find or receive, even if it's just a penny on the street. He says to literally scream, I'm a money magnet. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Be a money magnet. I like it.
Yeah, it signals to the universe, hey, send more this way. And third, pamper yourself. At least once a month, do something that makes you feel genuinely rich and deserving.
Like what?
Maybe an extravagant lunch, a luxurious massage, something that feels like a real treat. It creates this vibrational energy that tells the universe you already live abundantly.
That's such a great way to reinforce the mindset. Through actual action. Okay, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about how rich people choose to get paid. That's a fundamental difference too, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. He says, rich people choose to get paid based on results. Poor people choose to get paid based on time.
Results versus time. Why is that so important?
Well, the inherent problem with trading your time for money is simply that your time is limited.
Yeah.
There are only so many hours in a day.
Yeah.
So that automatically creates a ceiling on your income.
Makes sense.
And the wealth principle here is crucial. Never have a ceiling on your income.
You never have a
Eker uses a clear example. Compare a pen business, which you can scale based on results, sell more pens, make more money, to a massage therapist. Their income is directly tied to the number of hours they can physically work. It's limited.
Right.
He even shares his own father's blunt advice. You'll never get rich working on straight salary for someone else. If you're going to get a job, make sure you get paid on percentage. Otherwise, go work for yourself.
So even if you're an employee, maybe look for ways to negotiate some results-based pay. Or explore things like network marketing, coaching, consulting, options where your results matter more than just hours clocked.
Precisely. It's about testing your true value in the marketplace, beyond just the time you put in. Stepping into that mindset where your potential is linked to the value you create. And the declaration to adopt for this one is, I choose to get paid based on my results.
I choose to get paid based on my results.
Got it. Okay, finally, what's a core difference in how rich and poor people actually manage the money they do have?
This is huge. Rich people manage their money well. Poor people mismanage their money well.
Mismanage it well, what does that mean?
It means they might be very good at, spending it or avoiding dealing with it. But Eker points to studies like The Millionaire Next Door, which found that wealthy people aren't necessarily smarter. They just have better, more supportive money habits.
Okay.
And he warns against that common thinking. Oh, I'll start managing my money as soon as I get caught up or when I have more money. He says that's like an overweight person saying they'll start exercising after they lose 20 pounds. It's backwards.
Right. You have to start now.
Yes, because the wealth principle here is powerful. Until you show you can handle what you've got, you won't get any more. You have to prove you can manage the small amounts first. So the habit of managing money is way more important than the amount you actually have to manage, especially at the beginning.
Exactly.
So what's a practical, actionable system, something listeners can start doing right away?
He suggests a really simple but effective 2-account system. Well, technically part of a larger system, but these two are key. First, create a financial freedom account, an FFA.
Financial freedom account.
You put 10% of all your income before taxes, after taxes, gifts, whatever, into this account. And the rule is, this money is never spent. It's only invested to generate passive income, to work for you.
Never spent. Okay, that takes discipline.
It does. Then second, you create a play account.
Play account. I like the sound of that.
You put another 10% of your income into this account. And the key rule for the play account is, it must be spent every single month.
Must be spent.
Must be spent on things that make you feel rich and deserving. Things that are fun, luxurious, totally guilt-free. Blow it all each month.
Wow. Okay, why is that so important?
Eker argues this balance is crucial. The FFA builds your wealth. The play account nurtures your spirit and prevents financial self-sabotage. It makes managing money fun, not just restrictive. And it powerfully strengthens that receiving muscle we talked about.
It balances the saving with joyful spending.
Precisely. It keeps both your responsible saver and your inner child happy. And the declaration for this one is, I am an excellent money manager.
Okay, I am an excellent money manager. So manage the 10% for freedom and play with the other 10%.
That's the core idea to start with.
Wow. We have covered a lot today. From that invisible financial blueprint setting our limits, all the way to these really specific wealth files, the mindsets and habits of the rich. It seems so clear that financial success isn't just about what you know or do.
Not at all.
It's deeply about who you are and how you think.
Indeed. Eker really powerfully emphasizes that success is a learnable skill. You absolutely can train yourself to succeed at anything, including building wealth.
A learnable skill.
Yeah. It's about shifting your mindset, moving from being a know-it-all to being a learn-it-all.
Yeah.
And, critically, learning from true masters, people who have actually achieved what you desire. Not just, taking advice from friends who might be just as stuck as you are.
Right. Learn from those who've walked the path.
Exactly. As Eker wisely says, every master was once a disaster. Everyone starts somewhere.
That's encouraging. And he also reminds us, doesn't he, that it's your duty to grow yourself to your fullest potential, to create abundance and success in your life.
For in doing so, you will be able to help others and add to the world in a positive way. Yeah, it's not just about getting rich for yourself. It's about becoming the kind of person who can create abundance and then use it well.
Which brings us maybe to a final thought for our listeners.
Eker believes the universe abhors a vacuum. An empty space will always be filled. So thinking about that financial thermostat, that container for wealth, what kind of container are you intentionally building? Not just financially, but in all areas of your life. How are you making space to truly allow abundance to flow in?
Something to definitely think about as you continue your own deep dive into cultivating a millionaire mind.